80% of automotive history books completely ignore the 1970s. But what if I told you that some of the most innovative cars ever built were deliberately buried by manufacturers who wanted you to forget they existed? Cars that promised revolutionary technology in their marketing, but disappeared because they were too brilliant for their time. In this video, we're counting down the 10 most forgotten cars from the 1970s that were actually brilliant, based on engineering data and historical records that dealers never wanted you to see. And trust me, some of these vehicles will completely rewrite what you thought you knew about the so-called malaise era. From regulatory loopholes that created street-legal monsters to safety innovations that manufacturers actively suppressed, the 1970s was a decade of audacious engineering that got erased from automotive memory. And here's the kicker. The #1 car on our list exploited a bureaucratic loophole so cleverly that it became the fastest American vehicle you could buy, outrunning even the legendary Corvette. Stay until the end, because this isn't just nostalgia. This is suppressed automotive history that could change how you view classic car investments. Skip this, and you'll never understand why certain 1970s vehicles are skyrocketing in value, while everyone else is still chasing overpriced muscle cars. Number 10, the Triumph TR8. The Triumph TR8 represents everything that could go right with a car, arriving at exactly the wrong moment in history. This was the vehicle that should have saved the British sports car industry, but instead became its eulogy. Launched with its main production run between 1980 and 1981, though technically debuting in 1978, the TR8 fixed every single complaint enthusiasts had about its predecessor. The TR7 had been mocked relentlessly for its wedge styling and criticized for its underpowered four-cylinder engine. The TR8 solved this by installing the lightweight aluminum Rover V8 engine, a derivative of the classic Buick V8 design that Americans already trusted. This engine delivered around 135 horsepower in US specification, which doesn't sound impressive until you realize it was paired with a perfectly balanced chassis that had been engineered from day one to handle V8 power. The result was a sports car that offered genuine grand touring capability with effortless power delivery. Drivers described it as brilliant to drive, genuinely fun, and surprisingly refined for long-distance cruising. But here's where the brilliance turned tragic. The TR8 arrived after the TR7 had already destroyed Triumph's reputation in America. The earlier model had suffered from chronic quality issues and was caught in the middle of devastating labor disputes that crippled sales throughout the late 1970s. Even worse, US legislators had been threatening to ban convertibles entirely, which forced Triumph to launch the TR7 as a hardtop first, delaying the much more desirable convertible version until 1979. Number 9, the Jensen Healey. Positioned strategically between the common Triumph TR6 and the exotic Jaguar E-Type, the Jensen Healey was supposed to be Britain's answer to affordable performance with genuine engineering sophistication. It almost succeeded. Produced from 1972 to 1976, this two-door convertible featured something truly special under its hood: the Lotus 907 engine. This was a sophisticated 2.0-liter, all-aluminum, 16-valve, twin-overhead camshaft power plant that was miles ahead of the simple pushrod engines used by every other British roadster on the market. We're talking about technology that echoed racing heritage, delivering around 140 horsepower with a usable power band that made the car genuinely quick. The engine was developed specifically for the Jensen Healey, representing a partnership between two legendary British firms. This level of mechanical sophistication should have made the car a dominant force in the sports car market. The twin-cam design provided smooth, reliable power that competitors simply couldn't match with their agricultural pushrod motors. But brilliance doesn't matter when your factory can't build the car properly. The Jensen Healey suffered from inconsistent build quality that undermined every technical advantage the Lotus engine provided. Electrical gremlins plagued early models. Panel gaps were embarrassing. The reliability that the advanced engine promised on paper evaporated in real-world ownership. Number 8, the Fiat X1 and 9. The Fiat X1 and 9 accomplished something in 1972 that most people assumed didn't happen until the 1980s. It brought exotic mid-engine handling to the average driver at an affordable price. Designed by Marcello Gandini at Bertone, the same mind behind the Lamborghini Countach, the X1 and 9 was the world's first genuinely affordable, mass-produced sports car with a mid-engine, rear-wheel drive layout. Before this car, mid-engine designs were reserved exclusively for racing vehicles and high-end supercars like the Ferrari Dino. This was revolutionary democratization of supercar technology. The mid-mounted transverse engine configuration came from reliable Fiat 128 components, which meant parts were cheap and widely available. But the real brilliance was in the handling dynamics. The balanced weight distribution delivered cornering abilities that embarrassed front-engine roadsters, costing twice as much. The X1 and 9 could dance through mountain roads with precision that its British competitors couldn't touch. It was also the first Fiat designed from the ground up to meet US safety regulations, which was forward-thinking for a European manufacturer in the early 1970s. The car even featured a lightweight removable hardtop that could be stowed under the front bonnet, adding genuine practicality to exotic performance. So why is it forgotten? Two words: Fiat's reputation. In America, Fiat stood for "fix it again." Tony, and that reputation was earned through years of rust problems, electrical nightmares, and components that seemed designed to fail. The X1 and 9's brilliant chassis design couldn't overcome the toxic brand perception. Number 7. The Citroen SM. The Citroen SM was so technologically advanced when it launched in 1971 that American mechanics literally refused to work on it. This French Grand Tourer combined Italian exotic power with suspension technology that seemed like science fiction. The centerpiece of the SM's brilliance was its self-leveling, height-adjustable hydropneumatic suspension system. This wasn't some gimmick for show. It provided genuinely unparalleled ride quality and high-speed stability that made the car feel like it was floating on air at triple-digit speeds. Paired with this was a complex, speed-sensitive, self-centering steering system that required almost no driver input to maintain highway composure. Under the hood sat a unique 2.7-liter Maserati V6 engine producing around 170 horsepower, reflecting a corporate partnership between Citroen and the legendary Italian performance brand. The result was a car engineered for effortless, long-distance, high-speed cruising that blended French luxury with exotic Italian performance. The SM represented the absolute pinnacle of 1970s automotive ambition. It was a rolling showcase of what was possible when engineers were given unlimited creative freedom and told to build the ultimate highway weapon. But that complexity became its executioner in the US market. The advanced hydropneumatic systems required specialized maintenance that almost no American mechanics understood. Parts were impossible to source. When something broke, and it always did, repair costs were astronomical. The car developed an immediate reputation for being unreliable, which was somewhat unfair because the real problem was lack of proper service infrastructure. Number 6. The Mazda RX3. The Mazda RX3 was built around an engine architecture that was once proclaimed as the future of the entire automotive industry, the Wankel rotary. And for a brief moment between 1972 and 1978, it looked like that future had arrived. The brilliance of the RX3 stemmed entirely from the characteristics of its rotary engine. The Wankel design was inherently light and compact, which meant the RX3 chassis could be small and nimble while still delivering impressive power. The power-to-weight ratio was exceptional, producing between 105 and 110 horsepower from an engine that weighed less than most four-cylinder motors. On the racetrack, the RX3 became a legend. It earned a reputation as a giant slayer, achieving multiple class wins in international racing, including the iconic Bathurst 1000. The little Mazda regularly defeated the contemporary Nissan GT-R, embarrassing far more expensive machinery with its lightweight rotary power and superior handling balance. Mazda had also solved the primary technical problems that killed other manufacturers' Wankel programs, particularly the catastrophic failures that plagued the NSU Row 80. Starting in 1972, all Mazda rotary engines received a transplant coating process using sprayed-on steel to dramatically improve reliability and prevent the apex seal failures that had destroyed consumer confidence in earlier rotary designs. Mazda was so confident in the technology that company executives declared they would transition to an all-rotary US lineup by 1975. Dealers were told to prepare for a rotary revolution that would make conventional piston engines obsolete. Then the 1973 oil crisis hit, and everything changed overnight. The rotary's fundamental weakness was exposed: inherently poor fuel economy compared to conventional engines. What had been marketed as an interesting and sophisticated alternative became a liability almost instantly. Gas lines and fuel rationing made the rotary's thirst a deal breaker for most consumers. If you're finding this deep dive into forgotten automotive brilliance valuable, hit that subscribe button now, because we've got hundreds of videos breaking down the vehicles that manufacturers don't want you remembering. We're exposing the cars that could save you thousands while everyone else overpays for overrated classics. Number 5. The Saab 99 Turbo. Saab accomplished something in 1978 that changed the automotive world forever, but almost nobody remembers the car that did it. The Saab 99 Turbo pioneered the practical application of turbocharging to everyday vehicles, creating the template for every modern performance sedan that followed. Before the 99 Turbo, turbos were exotic technology reserved for racing cars and niche performance vehicles. Saab took this complex forced induction system and integrated it seamlessly into a safe, practical, front-wheel drive platform that normal people could use as daily transportation. The result was a car that delivered effortless mid-range torque and genuine acceleration, while completely bypassing the power-sapping emissions restrictions strangling every other manufacturer. The 99 Turbo produced somewhere between 135 and 145 horsepower, which doesn't sound revolutionary until you understand the context. This was 1978, when most cars were struggling to break 100 horsepower after being choked by catalytic converters and detuned compression ratios. The Saab's turbo effectively gave drivers access to V8 level torque from a fuel-efficient four-cylinder engine, fundamentally changing what was possible in a practical sedan. You could identify a 99 Turbo by its distinctive Inca alloy wheels, front air dam, and rear spoiler. These weren't just styling additions. They were functional aerodynamic elements designed to manage the additional performance the turbo system provided. But here's why it's forgotten. The 99 Turbo's time in the US market was incredibly brief. The three-door hatchback was offered only during the 1978 model year, with just 4,233 cars imported total. That's it, one single year of availability. Number 4, the Bricklin SV-1. Malcolm Bricklin attempted something in 1974 that no other manufacturer had tried. He built a sports car where safety was the primary selling point, not an afterthought. The Bricklin SV-1, or Safety Vehicle 1, was supposed to revolutionize how Americans thought about performance cars. The vision was genuinely brilliant. The SV-1 featured integrated 5-mile-per-hour energy-absorbing bumpers and a chassis designed around a central safety cage at a time when most sports cars were death traps. It had distinctive electrically operated hydraulic gull-wing doors that were marketed as crash-resistant design features. The innovative 3-seat layout was ahead of its time, actually predating the famous McLaren F1 by 2 decades. The body panels were constructed from unpainted acrylic resin, bonded to fiberglass, advertised as dent-resistant and maintenance-free. Power came from American V8 engines, either Ford or AMC depending on the year, producing between 175 and 220 horsepower. On paper, this was exactly what safety-conscious performance buyers should have wanted, but the execution was catastrophically flawed. The SV-1 became the textbook example of brilliant design intent sabotaged by horrendous build quality. The complex hydraulic system for those stunning gull-wing doors failed constantly, and not in minor ways. Owners were regularly trapped inside their own vehicles when the doors refused to open, forcing them to carry emergency escape tools just to feel safe driving the car. Think about that. A safety vehicle that trapped you inside. The electrical systems were so unreliable, they compromised every safety feature the car was supposedly built around. And those highly touted acrylic body panels? They literally fell off. The adhesive bonding failed so frequently that owners would find body panels sitting in their driveways after mild impacts or even just from normal driving vibration. Number 3, the AMC Pacer. The AMC Pacer was designed from the inside out, which sounds like marketing nonsense until you understand what that actually meant. AMC engineers believed American consumers found small cars claustrophobic, so they built a compact car with the interior space of an intermediate sedan. The result was genuinely revolutionary packaging. The Pacer measured nearly half as wide, 77 inches, as it was long, 171.5 inches. This created an enormous interior relative to its size, earning it the nickname the Fishbowl due to its massive wraparound windows that provided visibility no other car could match. The design included innovative asymmetry. The passenger door was 4 inches longer than the driver's door, specifically engineered to ease access to the back seat, which was incredibly practical for American passengers entering from the curbside. Early media reviews recognized this conceptual daring, using words like futuristic, bold, and unique. Journalists suggested the public was ready for this new approach to motoring. AMC invested $60 million developing the Pacer, which was a massive sum for the struggling independent manufacturer. But the Pacer's brilliance was destroyed by a single catastrophic engineering compromise. The car was specifically designed around the lightweight, efficient Wankel rotary engine that was supposed to be the future of automotive power. AMC had a deal in place to source these engines and build the entire vehicle's specifications around the rotary's unique characteristics. When that deal fell through and AMC failed to secure the Wankel supply, they were forced to substitute their heavy, conventional inline six-cylinder engine instead. This substitution was fatal. The heavy engine compromised the vehicle's intended weight distribution, destroyed the handling dynamics, and killed the fuel efficiency that was supposed to be a major selling point. A 5.0-liter V8 was offered later in 1978, but by then the damage was done. The car's original brilliance was completely undermined by having the wrong power source. Making matters worse, that massive glass area that provided such great visibility turned the interior into what owners called a boiling lobster pot on hot days, creating unbearable cabin temperatures. Number 2. The Ford Gran Torino Cobra. The Ford Gran Torino Cobra represents the final, powerful gasp of the traditional American muscle car, executed with technical focus that was immediately rendered obsolete by the new regulatory era. This was brute force engineering at its absolute peak, arriving just as the entire concept was being outlawed. Produced only in 1970 and 1971, the Gran Torino Cobra benefited from Ford's extensive NASCAR racing program. Unlike the square, boxy competitors from GM and Chrysler, the Torino featured genuine aerodynamic enhancements designed for high-speed oval track stability. This wasn't just marketing. The body design had been developed and proven in competition, giving it legitimate performance advantages on both track and street. The brilliance of the Gran Torino Cobra was its sheer, uncompromising engine capacity. It could house the legendary 429 Cobra jet or the even rarer Super Cobra jet engine, rated at 370 to 375 horsepower. These weren't inflated advertising numbers. This was genuine, brutal power that could propel the hefty coupe through the quarter mile in the mid-13-second range, which made it a legitimate competitor to anything GM or Mopar offered. The 429 Super Cobra jet was particularly special. It featured strengthened internals specifically designed for drag racing, including a forged steel crankshaft and heavy-duty connecting rods. This wasn't a street engine pretending to be tough. It was a racing engine that happened to be street legal. Barely. But despite its technical capability and overwhelming power, the Gran Torino Cobra vanished from automotive memory almost immediately. The nameplate lacked the lasting legacy and marketing power of the Mustang, which continued to dominate enthusiast attention and collector interest for decades. The Torino Cobra was always playing second fiddle to its more famous stablemate. Making its obscurity even worse was extreme rarity. Far fewer Torino Cobra were manufactured compared to the ubiquitous Mustangs that flooded the market. Most performance buyers went for the more recognized pony car, leaving the Torino as a specialty order for serious drag racers and NASCAR fans. Number 1. The Dodge Lil Red Express truck. The Dodge Lil Red Express wasn't just brilliant. It was a middle finger to Washington bureaucrats, wrapped in chrome and powered by a loophole that Chrysler engineers exploited so perfectly, it became the fastest American vehicle you could buy in 1978. This wasn't innovation through better engineering. This was brilliance through bureaucratic manipulation. Here's how Chrysler pulled it off. By the late 1970s, stringent emissions laws had completely suppressed traditional muscle car power. Every passenger car was strangled by catalytic converters and detuned engines that barely cracked 200 horsepower. But Chrysler performance engineers spotted something crucial in the federal regulations. Light trucks with a gross vehicle weight rating of 6,000 pounds or more were completely exempt from mandatory catalytic converters. Dodge immediately designed the Lil Red Express to exploit this loophole. They fitted a special high-performance 360 cubic inch, 4-barrel small block V8 with the internal code EH1. This was a modified version of the reliable 360 police engine, using a larger Carter thermoquad carburetor, and most importantly, a camshaft valve springs, and hardware borrowed directly from the legendary 1968 340 V8. Even with an emissions-proper 8.4:1 compression ratio, this engine produced 225 net horsepower at 3,800 RPM. That number needs context. In 1978, the highly regarded Chevrolet Corvette L 82 V8 produced only 220 horsepower, meaning this Dodge pickup truck was literally more powerful than America's premier sports car. The Lil Red Express was the horsepower king of American roads. The package included Hemi-style mufflers, breathing through two massive chrome exhaust stacks mounted behind the cab, creating a visual statement that screamed outlaw performance. When Car and Driver magazine tested the 1978 Dodge Lil Red Express, they discovered it was the fastest American-made vehicle from 0 to 100 miles per hour, achieving quarter-mile times in the 15-second range and 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 7.8 seconds. A pickup truck was demolishing sports cars and muscle car pretenders across the board. Now that you understand which forgotten cars from the 1970s were actually brilliant, you need to see which modern classics are following the same path. Check out our video on 20 old cars from the 2000s that were built to last forever to discover which vehicles from that era are becoming the forgotten legends of tomorrow.